Hello and welcome to Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm your host, Morley Kurt, and joining me as always is the magnanimous Adam Mackey.
Hello.
And the gregarious Grant Alexander.
Hello.
It took me while you guys were talking the pre-show, I was just practicing the pronunciation of magnanimous 10 times. That's one of those words that I only read, I never say out loud.
What does it even mean?
Well, I can tell you exactly what it means. It means generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or a less powerful person. So you're welcome, Adam.
What does gregarious mean?
Social. Sociable.
Oh, I'll take it.
And I thought it made these groggy.
The groggy Grant Alexander. Well, Grant, hopefully you weren't too groggy this week. What did you get up to?
Well, last week I talked about how I didn't think I had enough time to finish my Because We Make Enlighten Us challenge, and I ended up finishing it. So that was really good. It got down to the wire, and had to pull out the hairdryer to speed up the drying process on the I used some drywall putty or drywall mud, and so I ended up finishing that, and that was, I got the pictures out on Monday, which made it so I made the cutoff for the competition, and then I worked all week editing the video, and I released the video today. Today's Friday.
How close were you to the 11:59 p.m. deadline?
Oh, I wasn't that close.
Okay.
I was done. I was done the night before. I just needed to take good pictures, which turned out to be extremely difficult to do because the only lights in this room are the lights that I have. I needed to find different ways to take pictures of a light. Taking pictures of a light is one of the most difficult things to do, I think.
Yeah, you have to get creative. I feel like you can go a few different routes. I kind of went the route of trying not to show the whole thing completely. What are you pointing to? Oh, a light pointing at the light. I see.
I'm pointing at, there's behind me is a light, and on top of the light is a clamp light because a single light bulb wasn't sufficient.
You're not allowed to do that.
Because clamp.
Oh! Yeah.
The pictures look good. It looks solid.
It was and it's even more difficult to try and get a square picture for Instagram of something that's very long and narrow. But
yeah, it's sweet. You could have you done any prop building before? Because I feel like this is a pretty impressive project. I mean, did you even say for the listeners what it is that your light is?
I don't think I did. It is the front grille of a 1986 BMW 3 Series, and I built the surround and built a custom, had to, I don't know, come up with ways of mounting the grille into the wood, and I used kerf bending to make it meet the same radius as the curves on the grills.
Sweet. Yeah, it looks so cool. I was going to say, why didn't you put the BMW logo on it? But then I see that it's on top.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking Mercedes where they're popped up a bit, but I guess that's not what BMW does.
That is not. So a funny thing about this build is that I spent, I want to say 5 hours looking for I have brand new hood and trunk emblems that I took off a car that I sent to the scrapyard. So they were brand new. They looked great. And one day I put them on a piece of wood just to get them so that they wouldn't get all scratched up. And I put them somewhere. And I spent 5 hours. I tore through my whole garage. I went through my basement. I went through my bedroom thinking, did I put them there? I called my friend and said, hey, did I give them to you as a present somehow? Did I just say, hey, do you want some free, fun things because they're mounted on a nice piece of wood? And I could not find them anywhere.
So you ended up stealing one off another car, right?
No, so I found a wheel one, one that's supposed to go on the wheel, and I just ground it down until it worked. So ground off all the parts that make it fit on a wheel, and so it's not perfect, but you can't even see it on the light for the most part. Nice. As Morley pointed out.
So do you plan on keeping the light? Like it's a permanent install.
Yes. So it may not stay here, where right now it's in my office. I actually kind of like it because I like it way better than the old light. But I'll probably put it out into the area that has the rest of the car stuff. There's no electrical outlet where I want it to go. Probably like over my air hockey table or something. So I might just swap out the wiring to make it plug in.
Sweet.
And
Can you put a...
what was that?
I was going to say you could put a battery pack, but that'd just be annoying.
It would. But, and I took Jimmy Drest's advice and I didn't show any wiring.
Nice.
Well, I didn't finish the video, so I didn't see that far.
Well, thanks.
Not on purpose. My son woke up and took over the TV.
Yeah, it's all good. I only released it today, so I get like people have lives outside of my content creation.
How dare they?
Yeah. So, anyways, that was a really fun build, and I'm super pumped about it. And it's, I don't know, just really cool to finally have something that kind of like was sitting in my brain, taking up space for at least 4 years. Has
I really like it.
Yeah.
Like, I think like you're definitely in the running. You're bound to win something.
Well, thank you.
If not
There's
first.
there's definitely no other entries like it.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it is
very
standalone
unique, yeah.
categorically.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so many interesting, unique, like the ways some like people took this challenge is not where I think anyone thought it was going to go. Like that chomp light of Jeff's is like awesome.
Yeah.
Like if my son is ever into Mario, I'm totally ripping that off.
Nice.
Yeah. So the other thing that happened this week is I was invaded by the Beard X16. So he's a guy in the UK, and he does these like little live streams, sometimes pre-recorded, and sometimes he actually goes and like to the person's house. Pre-COVID, he actually went to people's workshops and invaded them.
Like kick down the door and
pretty much.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like a Viking, so potentially that's what he did.
I love if he never even told anyone that he was going there. Just rocks up at someone's house. Doesn't even let them know he knows their address.
Yeah. I see. I don't know how much like pre-planning was done. There wasn't much with me. It was like, "Are you available at this time?" So I guess there was that, because it's kind of hard to dial someone in. Just like send them a link and say, "Click on this and please," and then, "Oops, you're live." Yeah, but it was kind of cool. He has like a standard set of questions, and so I answered them, gave everyone a little shop tour, and you can check the YouTube video out on his channel just by searching the Beard X16.
I read it as the Beard times 16.
So I actually had a conversation with him about that, and I asked him, should I call you that or not? And he said he likes to be called the Beard X16. And then I asked him, how did that name come about? And he said, it's because when I first put in my YouTube videos a long time ago, everything I did, I sped it up 16 times.
Nice.
So it's
then why not do times 16? That makes way more sense.
I don't know.
Yes, his name represents times 16, but he likes to be called X16.
Hey,
X16 sounds more like Elon Musk's son. It has that like fighter jet sound.
Yeah, I think it kind of sounds like a 1960s fighter jet. Oh, did you say, you just said that? Crap.
Get out of my head.
Pretty much like, thank you and have a nice day.
I do what I can.
Right? If people are following between our channels, Morley stole my outro, but
okay, I swear to God, I never even like saw you do that before I did that the first time.
It's all good. It's funny.
Wait,
because
what? I missed something.
Yeah. So
is this in the lady
Grant
in Morley's latest video?
claims he has dibs on have a great day.
Yeah.
Got news for you, Grant. You didn't invent that.
No, I know. I just think it's funny because I've said it in every single video since the beginning.
It is funny.
And I normally like you never got to the end of someone's video, but your video was really short this time, and I was doing something else, and at the end, I when all the ads start popping up in your face, that's usually when I click away. And I didn't for this time, and then I heard that, and I went, "Oh, he stole my outro."
I put a lot of effort into my end screen, and you just click off it.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways, and then you told me you've been doing it for 10 videos, and well, I've been doing it for 50 something. So take that.
I had a comeback, and I forget what it was, but
I wish I had a cool outro.
Yeah. Well,
I say the same thing every time, but now I'm just stuck with what I started with.
You can change. I mean, there's no reason
because I can't think of anything else.
Oh, well,
yeah, but I can't think of anything. And if I say something, someone will be like, "Someone else says that."
I don't think so. I don't think people will really care that much.
I actually think it's really great that you start saying that because I really feel like that's the positivity I wanted to put out in the world. So if someone else is also putting it out there, that's double positivity.
Exactly. Love it.
Potentially.
What do you say?
I say cheers and have a great day, and I take a drink. And he said,
"Yeah."
I just said like have a yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Anyways, positivity's good.
So, and the last thing is I received my maker swap from Dead Rise Woodcraft, and he made me a bottle opener that is shaped like a beer bottle and has the Landshark logo on it. So I thought that was kind of cool because I pretty much exclusively wear Landshark t-shirts because they come free in the beer cases.
Do you have it on you?
I don't. It's upstairs. I don't have it here, but there's you can watch the video. It's linked.
Will do.
Or check out Instagram, Dead Rise Woodcrafts. And then the last, I went camping. It went well. There's not much to report. I went with my family.
Yeah. I was muted.
Wait, what were you saying?
I said, is that why you have so many Landshark shirts? I thought you actually went out and bought them all.
No,
they just love Landshark that much.
No, they come free in the in a case of beer. So
right.
As you guys all know, I drink too much. So I had a lot of t-shirts. What I like about them is that because they're free, I don't care about getting like glue or shit all over them.
Yeah.
And so that's why I have so many Landshark shirts. I have, I think, 20 or 30 of them. And this year I only got like 3 because of COVID.
Nice. That's your shop uniform.
Yeah, it's my shop uniform. Went camping. The weld held up, and I think we were talking about me welding it last week. If we didn't, the trailer broke. We welded it, and it held up, and I made it and made it back.
Yay. The world held up. I thought you said the world held up like it didn't rain or something.
It didn't rain either. It was a beautiful couple days. No, not many bugs. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's been so
Speaking
nice.
of bugs, there's one flying around my face right now.
Oh.
I can't get it.
Yeah. We can't.
You probably just see me on camera just swatting things. Trying to get this damn bug.
Coughing, muted, swatting things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was muted, because I was coughing.
All right. Well, what have you...
So what have I been doing, you asked?
That is exactly what I was going to ask.
So I didn't make my BWM challenge. I actually think it would have taken me like another month to finish it. And see, here's the thing, right? I started on this. I've had this idea in my head for like a year. I started it for the purpose of the BWM challenge, knowing that afterwards I'm not going to keep it. So now that I didn't make it, I just gave up.
Yeah,
you just don't care about finishing it. So I got one of the legs into the form, or half of a leg. I had to do it in 2 halves. I had so much issue trying to get the bend that I needed, and then the wood was taking 2 days later, the wood was still wet. The plywood, and I'm just like, there's no way I'm getting this done. I took it out of the form 2 days after gluing it up. It literally just went straight back to being flat. Didn't even keep its form. So there's no way I was going to get it done. I still have the base like completely glued up with the pole sticking out of it. So if I wanted to, I could probably do something with that. I might think about that and just not do the legs that I wanted to do.
That might be a nice like blessing in disguise. Like if it really seems like the leg design is not jiving, then and there's another part of it you like, then there's no reason you can't just like change gears and maybe make it something you're more into.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see how I go. I didn't get the base exactly how I wanted it, but I'm still pretty happy with how it turned out. But again, like a week later, it was still wet. I think only just now it's starting to finally fully dry.
Is it really humid there right now?
But not really. It's really cold. But I don't know. It's my first time doing bentwood lamination, so like it's a whole learning curve with all that.
For sure.
But yeah. Hopefully, just today's Saturday, so hopefully by Monday I plan on recording episode 2 of Woodworking for Kids.
Nice.
Which I'm looking forward to. So I talked about it, was it last week? Whatever was my recommendation was the scroll saw blades, that cut in any direction, the spiral ones. So I'm going to cut out a shape of a dinosaur and then just let my son go to town cutting it into shape. So like turn it into like a little puzzle where it all just can fit in together. So hopefully I get that done. I don't know when I will, or hopefully I'll get it done before I go back to work next Thursday and then get the video out the next week maybe. My mate gave me a 3D printer, so that's pretty exciting.
That's sick. That came out of nowhere.
He said, yeah, well, he's had it for ages, and I've always thought, like, I wish that I could just borrow. I just sent him a message, said, can I borrow your 3D printer because there's something I want to print? And he's like, well, it's not working, and I sent it to the tip. Like, you serious? I would have taken that, like, no issues and tried to fix it. He's like, oh, his wife said it went to the tip. And then he goes, actually, I'm pretty sure I forgot to put it out, so if I still have it, you can have it. And then he brought it, like, that night to the gym. Took it home. I plugged it in just to set it on and see what brand it was, but I haven't actually plugged it into a computer yet. But he just said that like when it prints, it goes up to like is it Z or Z for you guys? The up,
yeah,
like the height. Yeah, so apparently that goes too fast. But to be honest, I don't think he really would have put that much like time into trying to adjust it properly and stuff. I think it didn't work, and he sort of just gave up. So he is hoping I can get it to work, but we'll see how it goes.
Now, what's the tip?
The dump.
That's
it.
It's the dump in North American English. Like the garbage dump.
I was trying to get him to explain it.
Oh, the tip. Yeah, like the garbage dump.
Okay. It's just, I'd never heard that term. I got it from context, but I was trying to get you to...
Yeah.
For people who
when
may
you
not
said
get
what's the tip, I thought you meant like, as in, do you have a tip for us on how to do something? I was like, what?
What are words?
So getting the 3D printer, trying to learn Fusion 360. Wow, what a game changer! Like, I feel like you could do so much with it, but going from SketchUp to Fusion, I feel like is a big. If you started off with just Fusion 360, I think it would be a lot easier. But because I'm coming from SketchUp, I'm looking on Fusion going, where's this tool that I use in SketchUp? This shouldn't be that hard. Like
the tools are all there. It's just that like how you get to them is different because the whole like the process is different. But it's still the same kind of like set of steps.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of. So say for instance, when you made your lamp, you made that little hole for the, like you made a hole for a screw to go in, or you even did it on this week's video.
Yeah.
You made like the little hole for where the screw would go. So you click the button to make the hole, which like can make it perfect how you want it, like with the countersink and all that sort of stuff. You do that, and then you've got to click on an edge and type in the measurement you want it from that edge. Click on the other edge and then type in the measurement you want it from that edge.
No, other
in
order.
SketchUp, you'd grab the... either or.
Yeah, okay.
Even still, so like you put the hole there and then you move it like with that.
Yeah.
Like so, you click on the edge and how far you want it from that edge. With SketchUp, you'd grab the tape measure, just measure down, measure across. That's where you want the center point to be. That's where you start the hole.
Yeah, I mean,
so like I'm looking around going, where the hell's the tape measure?
Yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about Fusion is that like the hole knows it's a hole. And you can move that hole around if you realize it's not in the same spot. You can use the timeline, go back in time, make a change, which will propagate through the entire design. And that is like, I wish every...
that's way past my skill level so far.
But you'll realize like once you figure out what the timeline does, so for people that don't use Fusion, essentially like every step you do is saved in a timeline at the bottom. And it's like if you undo, it will go to earlier steps. But what you can also do is you can click into that timeline. Say you drew a dimension at a certain point. you can click in, you can change that dimension, press enter, and then that change will propagate through the rest of the timeline in the design. So it means that you can go back and change things. And I just wish all software had this. Like I wish in paint.net, for example, like I could, I don't know, make a mask that knows it's a mask. And if I move one thing, the other things will move with it. And everything is smart like that. And it's, it's like,
I
think you're comparing to apples, not just apples and oranges, but you're comparing like really, really good apples to like free oranges. Because like I know Fusion 360 is free now, but it didn't used to be, and Paint.net always was. But you're comparing, like you should be comparing it with Photoshop, I think.
Sure, I've never used Photoshop though.
Okay, because there's a lot like when I try and use Paint.net, because I used to use Photoshop a lot, but I just got out of it and started using MS Paint because it was good enough for what I was doing. But now that I'm trying to get back into it, like I find like other than the clone tool, like nothing else works the way I want it to in Paint.net because it's not smart.
Right. Yeah. Have it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest issues I have with Fusion. And like, not just that, but I had an idea of something I wanted to make, and I downloaded Fusion specifically to make this model, knowing that that's where I'm going to go forward, like instead of SketchUp from now on. But I had this idea of something I wanted to make, and I just tried to make it. I didn't like, if I went and did a course or something first or watched some tutorials, then I probably would have made my life so much easier. Mm-hmm. But I'm more one of those people that would open up Fusion and then I'll do something. And then if I don't know how to do something, I would specifically go to YouTube and look up a video how to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of watching a course on how to make a box to begin with, then it would have probably been a lot easier.
So here's the thing. Like,
but I got where I wanted, and I'm pretty happy with the model.
I used to teach how to use design softwares. Like at university, I taught students how to use AutoCAD. And I think like you're only going to really get the hang of a software once you have a project to do. And then you do that project and that really like blows it wide open. But I think you do have to do a certain level, especially at least with like 3D modeling softwares, you do have to do like a little bit of courses just so you know like where things are and how the software thinks and how it's laid out and everything. And
it's like
if you look on like YouTube
components and stuff like that.
Yeah, like if you look at YouTube courses, like there'll be a series of like 30, 10-minute videos, and just doing like a couple of those a day or something will just make your life like so much less frustrating. And like I'm totally with you. When I used AutoCAD a lot, I would just Google an issue and figure out like the forums online were incredible for that. And I would always tell students, like, if you can't figure something out, just Google exactly what you want to do. And chances are someone has asked that exact same question on a forum. However, it doesn't really replace like learning the basics. I think that's still like super important. And it just makes your life like so much less frustrating.
So my first time using Google SketchUp, I did my entire house. And then I had my friend come over who's like used SketchUp a lot. And I did the basics of my entire house and I wanted to remodel it. And he came in and it was like as if I'd drawn every single line separately. And I drew everything, but nothing was grouped as a component. Yeah. So he went to go move stuff around and he was like, I can't move your walls the way you want me to because you just basically, instead of handing me a 3D model, you handed me a 2D like model that like you can rotate. Like it wasn't an actual.
And the problem is, so the problem is with SketchUp is like, so you build a wall, triple click it, which selects the whole wall, press Control G, and that gives you a component.
Yeah.
You build that wall and don't make a component, and then build an attaching wall. Then triple click, it selects all of it. You can't then go back and just make that one wall a component because it selects the other wall as well.
I hate in SketchUp. So
you've got to do it all in sections.
I hate in SketchUp how you can't really see where all the groups are. Like you have to like click a billion times and then the selecting shows you what the groups are. Like it's not immediately apparent. Whereas like this is one of the least important advantages of Fusion. But the nice thing in Fusion is that it like at least it grays the things out that aren't in your component. And it's very clear to see like what is and what isn't.
That whole component thing is new to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could go back. So like I made the design of what I want to print. I could go back and make that again in like 10 minutes. It took me a couple of hours because I was learning. But go and make something else completely different and it will take me a couple of hours again. because I don't know how to do a lot of things. It taught me a lot to do that specific like job.
For sure. Yeah, and those are super useful. And sometimes like if I do a whole design and realize like I reach a point where I'm like, this isn't where I want to go. I do think it's better sometimes just start over, because you've learned so much through all that you're like, I can restart and do this in 10 minutes and everything will be set up nicely. All the relationships will be good, rather than trying to fix this shitstorm that I've started.
Yeah. What else have I been working on? I've been modding my new truck, which has been fun. Pretty much just painting things.
Nice.
It's like anything that's black that's been like faded from the sun, I've just repainted black, and I bought some parts for it yesterday and stuff. And yeah, been having fun with that. Got to paint the wheels this week sometime. And yeah, that's about it.
Gonna get some spinners on there.
No, I'm just going to repaint the mags that are on there, like the mags on the steel wheels.
So it's so funny that you mentioned spinners, because my brother gave me for my birthday, it was the first time I've seen him since my birthday in June, he gave me some BMW center, like the centerpiece of a wheel.
Oh, yeah.
That stay...
but they're like the Bentley?
Yeah, they stay upright, and they also light up while you're driving.
Yeah, Bentley have that without the light up, but the Bentley has like in the center cap, it stays still.
Yeah, it stays still and it lights up. So
yeah.
I can't quite visualize what you're saying, so send a link while I'm talking. I'll click on it later. Nice. Anything else, Adam?
No, I'll leave the other thing for later.
Sweet. All right. Well, this week, Grant, I feel like we're on the same wavelength this week. I kind of went camping. So my girlfriend Eden, her family was renting a cottage. They're actually, her parents are still there. They're there for like 2 weeks. So we went up there last weekend, and with COVID and everything else, Eden and I stayed in a tent outside. So it was fun. It was like camping in a backyard. There was a little bit of rain, but that tent has weathered. Oh, no, I'm going to sneeze. Dang it. 1 second. Excuse me. Sorry for not muting.
My God.
I tried to at least get away from the mic. It was wonderful, though. It was so nice up there. We were near Peterborough. Grant, if you know where that is, just 2 hours north of the city about. Really nice cottage country right on a lake.
that would
they had this. Sorry, go on.
it would be so nice to have a cottage up there.
Yeah. It was, so we were there Saturday through like Tuesday. So Saturday and Sunday it was pretty busy because it's part of all the interconnected lakes up there. So a lot of boats and stuff going through, but it really quieted down on Monday. There's some thunderstorms going through, but had nice bouts of sunshine, played some croquet, got my butt kicked at croquet. That's what I get for never playing golf. They had this really cool like stand-up paddleboard, but you pedal it like an elliptical. If you saw my stories last week, and I posted about that, and it was so sick. Like you could motor in this thing. And I always felt like with stand-up paddleboards, like you can't really go very fast, but this thing is so efficient.
Like I said in response to your story, it looked fast, but you look like a giant dork using it. I'm totally aware.
And I don't care at all. It was so fun that it just negates the dorkiness of it.
It's like riding a moped. It's like they're fun, but you look like an idiot. Like you don't look cool doing it. But driving a moped is fun.
You're talking to the guy who rode his unicycle to middle school, so that'll tell you what it will.
Oh, wow. So you're that guy.
You're that guy.
I only did it once.
Hold on. Which skill don't you have?
Well, I picked up a new one this week. So
you forgot to mention that he was juggling the whole way to school too.
Yeah, I never got good at juggling. I tried. I didn't have the commitment to getting good at it. I only got like very mediocre at juggling.
Like
are you part of that group at college, Morley, that plays hacksack?
No, I never got good at hacky sack either.
No, I played it. I was never good at it though.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. But I didn't smoke enough weed to really get good at it.
Yeah, you have to be at a certain level to really excel. But speaking of hobbies, I decided I want to learn to play the bass guitar. So I found one on Facebook Marketplace.
Slap of the bass.
Slap of the bass. And found that and an amp, got a sick deal on it, and have been doing that in the meantime these past few days. And it's been super fun. I have I know a bit of acoustic guitar, so that was like that kind of got me up to a certain level. So it's fun. I've just been like looking up bass lines from songs that I really love, some Wolfpack, some Anderson .Paak.
I know how to play Guitar Hero. Do you think that'll somehow make me good at bass guitar?
I'm sure it can't hurt. Like, I'm sure it will. It'll at least start you out.
Yeah, the people that I know that are actually like really good at like the drums are actually good at Guitar Hero. For some reason, drums translates better.
Oh, that makes so much sense. You got the rhythm down.
Yeah.
I was literally about to say, if I could turn my camera and open the cupboard to my left, I have a full drum kit.
Oh, really?
I've been a drummer for like 25 years.
So I've kind of always, like, I grew up playing the piano. I played the piano from like since age 6.
I've always wanted to play piano.
My dad has been a drummer forever, and he has a drum kit, and I've never really learned how to play the drums, but I've always been like peripherally interested in it and played around a bit here and there. So I really want to learn the drums. But I can't really do that in my current living situation. So the second I have a property where I can have a soundproofed room or an outbuilding or something.
No, get an electric drum kit. That's what I got.
I just don't have anywhere to put it. Anyways, I also want to learn the bass. So like
mine's literally in it. Mine's literally in a wardrobe.
Okay. You know,
you shut the doors and it's gone.
I will consider it. Yeah. But I would rather have an analog kit.
Oh, me too. But I don't have the capacity for that or the noise restraints.
Yeah. Anyways, that's been really fun. I also needed somewhere to put it because I realized pretty quickly that we are low on floor space. So I was going to make just like a plywood hanger for it to hang it on the wall, but decided to 3D print it instead. So I designed that in Fusion. And I originally was just going to make like a little Instagram video out of it. But once I started going through the design footage, I realized that like, there's not, I can't really cut this down comfortably into a minute long. Like there's too much here. So I just decided to make like a full YouTube video out of it, which I put out today.
Yeah. It was another one of your
I learned so much from your video.
Yeah, kind of like just follow up to the light fixture one. Got really good reception to that with really focusing on the design and Fusion. So I was like, that's the story of this one. It's really the design and then a quick print and just screwing it to the wall. So yeah,
I really picked the wrong week to start Fusion because you went camping. Because I was asking for help in the Discord of like Fusion. And you literally, in your video, did exactly what I was trying to do.
Oh, what was it?
Which was like, make a straight shape and then bend it.
Yeah.
Like, you know how you made like the U shape and then like turned it into a hook? That's exactly what I was trying to do.
Oh,
and
damn.
I couldn't work out how to do it.
Not on the Discord the last week or so.
I know.
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about that briefly. My original strategy with that was to literally make a pipe and bend it and then shape that. But the way that form manipulation works in Fusion, it gets really janky really fast. So what I found a much better way is to actually draw the U-shaped profile as like a 2-dimensional line and then sweep a profile along that, which you can also do in sculpting mode, not just like normal body manipulation mode. Lots of people listening probably think I'm talking gibberish right now, but I promise it makes sense.
I think you're talking gibberish.
Yeah, but essentially sweeping, if you want a shape like that, a lot of times sweeping a profile along a path is a lot easier than making it like as you would in real life. So like literally bending an object.
Yeah.
Especially when you start playing with symmetry and stuff. I digress though. It was a fun project. My bass guitar is now well out of the reach of our cat, which was one of the goals. Grant, are you going to say something? Are you muted? I think Grant's muted.
Sorry, I muted myself. When you said that, when you said it's out of the reach of the cat, I looked at it and went, I don't think you know what cats are capable of.
Yeah,
It's out of her,
I thought the same
it's
thing.
out of her reasonable reach. So like I spend so much time with Penny. I know what she's interested in. I know where she's confident. And so this is a little aside. She has like a disability. It's called cerebellar hypoplasia. So basically part of her brain is underdeveloped, and she doesn't like, it essentially means that she has a little bit of like cat vertigo. She's not always so sure of herself on her feet. She tends to like claw her way up things instead of just jumping on them. She's like, she's fully capable of jumping, but she just like, she doesn't, her proprioception, like her awareness of her limbs and of things around her is a little off sometimes. So it essentially just makes her extra cute. She like lifts her feet up really high when she walks around. She's totally like normal, but she just, the way she moves, I don't think she's going after it anytime soon.
Oh, okay.
It is funny though. Like as she's growing up, she's slowly discovering new parts of our apartment. Like now she realizes she can get on the coffee table and.
Right, because that's when you literally posted the picture, I was like I think that cat could just reach up and grab it. It didn't look, or when you posted the video, I was like,
Yeah,
it's not. But, okay,
it's a matter for interest. Like she has no interest in it when it's up there.
Right.
All I thought was, it's out of my cat's reach, but when she jumps on it, it's just going to fall off the wall.
Yeah, no, it's pretty stuck in there. Like the little divot in the middle, it's not really going anywhere fast.
No, I think it's more it'll break.
So,
yeah, if you really like yanked on it,
because
I'm
I've
sure
been
it'll
getting into 3D printing, this interests me. How full is the print? Like how much percent?
It's 15% infill, and I was a little nervous.
Really?
I was thinking I feel like this is on the lighter side, and so when I screwed into the wall and put it on, I was kind of like bracing myself, but it seems perfectly strong enough. I mean, if you visualize, like it's essentially a bent tube that has a webbing on the inside, and the strength of a tube comes from it being a tube. Like it doesn't really have to be fully filled in for it to be strong. And also the way it bends, it's. Anyways, my structural engineering education came in very handy for this. I was like, this should be fine. You can always print at 100% infill if you want. It'll just take forever for something.
I know that was my next question. How long did that print take?
That was 6 hours.
Oh my God.
And that's the longest print I've done so far.
Yeah, that hook that I put in the Discord says it was going to take like, I can't remember if it was either 3 or 13 hours. I'm pretty sure it was 13. I changed it. That's 20% infill. If I changed it to 100%, it was going to take like 3 days.
Yeah. So that's that's one of the big things with 3D printing is like, and Fusion together. It's figuring out how to design things so that they're like, if you're doing designing for 3D printing, so it makes sense to be printed. Like when I was doing my light fixture for the Because We Make challenge, I showed in the video, but like the first one I make was like basically a solid shade with holes cut out in it. And printing it as a solid piece was going to take something like 36 hours. I was like, I guess I could do that, but I really don't want to. And like, there must be a better way. I mean, 6 hours honestly was like nothing. I started it. It's
just leave it overnight.
Yeah. I mean, I started in the morning. It was done by like the afternoon. And,
it's nice because you have that enclosure for it. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's not going to get all dusty. It's not going to, like, I see a lot of people have like Vincent has his like 3D printers just sitting like open, but they're obviously not in his shop. But if they were in his shop, they need to be in a nice enclosure like what you have. If I ever get one, that's where it would be.
I feel like the enclosure, like you just got to do it. It just makes it so much easier. And they do make noise. So it cuts down on the noise as well. Well,
if I get this printer working, it'll just sit in this office.
They have some cool,
next to my Cricut.
If you go on like Pinterest, there's some interesting hacks people have done where like you take a simple IKEA table, you buy 2 of like IKEA coffee tables, you set one on the other. And then if you put plexiglass on the outside, it's basically like a finished enclosure. For something
if I surrounded the bottom of a coffee table with plexiglass, it would probably cost me $1,000.
Fair. I forgot where you lived.
And especially right now. Right now, plexiglass is... Anyways.
Yeah.
It's insane.
You think wood's expensive in Australia?
You know...
It's insane.
It was when I went to... So I built the enclosure like in the heart of COVID. It was expensive at Home Depot, but I went to a plastic supplier and it was like very reasonable.
Oh, yeah. I've got a plastic supplier that I go to and it's honestly pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I can...
Never, ever, ever buy plexiglass at Home Depot. to people who are listening. It's such a ripoff.
Well, what if you only need a small bit?
Yeah,
Well, if you need a small bit, you should go to a plastic supplier and they'll cut you a small bit.
Yeah, because they
might even just give you a scrap bit.
I went to the one I went to. Yeah. Yeah, well, the one I went to, I got a meter by a meter offcut that they just were chucking out for $5.
That's sick.
Which, for those listening, is about 3 foot by 3 foot.
Yeah, like in the set shop, we always have scrap plexiglass. Like I could get so many pieces, like much thicker than what I got for free. It's crazy. Like the stuff we throw out there, it stinks because you're like, oh, I feel like this could get to so much use, but like you literally have to turn off your brain at a certain point because like it gets exhausting having to think about every single thing you're throwing away when it's such a production level shop.
Yeah.
Like I'll be sure to like at least think every time I throw something out. I was like, okay, can I use this? Is this make sense to keep? But yeah.
So Bunnings, which is Home Depot, a 3 foot by 2 foot sheet, 5 millimeters thick. So that would be a fifth of an inch.
Nobody goes
pretty thick. Actually, no, that's medium thick.
Really?
I think what I use for the enclosure is like
maybe it's a tenth.
Okay.
We don't talk in tenths.
No.
We're talking sixteenths, eighths, quarters.
Oh.
I use like 2 millimeter for the enclosure, maybe 3 millimeter. I don't quite remember.
Yeah, 3 millimeter. So 5 millimeters. So 5 millimeters, $66
for how big?
2 foot by 3 foot sheet.
That's honestly
2 foot by 3 foot.
Yeah, that's probably about what it would be at Home Depot here as well.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yep.
But people buy it, and
anyway,
all the power to them for making that money.
Yeah.
Everything at Home Depot is expensive. The wood at Home Depot is expensive. If you were building a house, you don't buy it at Home Depot. Mm-hmm. Like all the custom home builders that I know, they don't buy anything at Home Depot. You know what's nice about Home Depot? It's open at 9:00 at night. Yeah. That's about the only thing that's nice about Home Depot. And that's what you pay for. You pay for long hours. You pay for convenience of being able to buy one board and they don't care. Right? Yeah. Like when you need one more 2x4, you go to Home Depot. When you need 20 more 2x4s, you call up a supplier and you get them delivered. Anyways.
I think the thing with like Home Depot and Bunnings and that is more for like tradies, people who are like building a house for someone and they don't care how much it costs because they're not paying for it. So it's just.
I think they only go there for the small stuff or the stuff they need immediately.
Mm.
I feel like tradespeople are usually going to Home Depot if they need it's an emergency. And they're like, we ran out of this, we need that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if it's a lump sum contract, they want to save as much money as they can so that they maximize their profit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyways, last thing I did this week.
We almost had a really good segue there, but
all right. Well,
we're talking about segues, but we're pretty much like 45 minutes into the episode already.
We can save this topic for another week. It's all right.
Maybe we'll save the topic.
But Ryan and I did put out another episode of Into the Spotlight this week. It was just the two of us, and we had what I felt was a really good conversation about just reflecting on the last 5 months and how living in a pandemic has impacted our creativity. Ryan he moved from Toronto back to his hometown in Gaspé, which is on the east coast of Canada. He's getting a nice reset there, and it was good. It was a good I feel like we've all been having these conversations about how being someone who making things, the state of the world is definitely influencing our creativity, and it was nice to really take a solid hour to reflect on that. So yeah, you can find that on any podcast platform, Into the Spotlight. And we have other episodes too.
Cool.
Well, we did actually have a topic for this week, even though we're already 45 minutes in. I actually had the idea for this because of a tweet that Andy Pugh, our boy, tagged me in. And he referred to me as something that I hadn't really thought about as myself before, which is a maker with a relatively minimalist style. And I thought this was kind of interesting. I think when I look at my workspace and like how I like my life, I am a minimalist in some ways, but I don't really identify with like the whole minimalist aesthetic all the way. So I thought it'd be like an interesting thing to talk about, not just minimalism, but like minimalism versus maximalism, because I know that like that's also a really interesting duality as makers. Like you look at like Jimmy DiResta's shop, like Jimmy DiResta is definitely a maximalist, you know, like I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, which is...
Oh, that was what I was just pulling. I was going to say that exact quote.
Which is great. And I think that's like an awesome mentality. We were just talking about with Home Depot. It sucks if you have to go out and spend 8 times the reasonable price on something to get a part that you need. And if you just have it on hand, it just makes your life so much easier. But the fact of the matter is, for my setup, I just don't have the room to keep all this stuff on hand. And I don't like having all extra stuff I'm not using. In fact, I feel bad if I have things around me that I'm not using. It's like when you're a little kid and you feel guilty that you're not giving your stuffed animals equal attention. I don't know if you guys ever felt that way as a kid.
Yep.
But I kind of feel that way about
somebody
just
once
stuff.
Told me, yeah, somebody once told me, like, it's just stuff. Don't feel guilty. And IKEA had a whole commercial about it. And now I don't feel guilty. And now I just have a lot of stuff.
Wait, what's the IKEA commercial?
Where it's just a lamp. Have you not seen the lamp commercial?
No.
Where like there's a lamp and it's sitting out and it's raining on this old lamp getting put out to the tip or whatever they say in Australia. It's out in the like waiting to be picked up. And it's like the IKEA Swedish guy saying with his accent going like, this is like a lamp and it's whatever, it's sad and it's got sad music and it's like, do you feel sad for the lamp? And then it goes, don't feel sad for the lamp. It's just a lamp. Anyways.
That's wild. So are they basically playing on their like mass production of furniture?
Oh, I don't know if they ever thought it was that bad, but it was like pretty much, yeah.
It just finishes the commercial with, don't worry, it's just a lamp. Come to IKEA and buy
more
one.
And throw it away. That is like sad. Anyways, do you guys, I don't know, do you guys feel like you're more on one end of the spectrum, like minimalist versus maximalist and how you live your lives?
I feel like it's not really that I'm a minimalist. It's more that I take the easy route. So maybe more of a lazy person, if you know what I mean. So like, yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting because I actually think that to be a minimalist, you need to be the opposite of lazy. You need to
I think
about
it takes a lot of intentionality.
Yeah.
Because that's why I feel like, as someone, I guess, who lives a relatively minimalist life, I guess we'll say, I feel like I have to think very hard about like all the objects in my life and like not adding to the collection. Like getting this base, for example, like I needed somewhere to put it. And I didn't want to just get a store-bought guitar stand that set on the ground because I'm like, okay, well, where's that going to go? And that's going to impact my life in all these different ways. Like it's just a constant mental catalog of all the things I have around me. And that's kind of always how I've been. I've always felt very conscious of all the material things that I have. Like I have a very good sense of what's in my fridge right now. I know exactly the food we have.
I know what's in my beer fridge,
okay.
But
but you're a beer maximalist, so how does that work?
Yeah, that's an interesting. I didn't used to be, but now I am. But okay, I've never understood someone who goes to the beer store, which is how you buy beer here, and they buy one can.
A single can.
What?
Yeah.
There's something kind of beautiful.
You can
in
buy
that.
just one can.
Yeah.
Just a single drink.
Just a single, like they'll get one tall can of 7.5%, and they're just in there. That's what they buy, and they leave. And I just go, I don't know, that's not enough beer.
I don't know. A tall can of 7.5%. That could be a buzz, depending on the person.
I guess
I can't even justify buying like a 6-pack. If I'm going to buy a 6-pack, I may as well just buy a case.
And that's why you're a maximalist.
I think it depends on like what I'm thinking, like what we're talking about. Like in my life, I'm pretty minimalist. I don't really care about like new things. Like, you know, I don't want the world. But in my shop, I do.
You're Mr. I have
and
every
everything need,
Ryobi
like,
tool out there.
Yeah. I mean, I want everything to have a place. It doesn't because I'm lazy. But, like, I want everything to have its spot. Everything, like, you know, like you said with the guitar, Morley, like, I get a new tool and I'm like, okay, where am I going to store this? It needs to have a certain spot to be stored. But then I just don't do it because I'm lazy.
Right, but I think there's, like, organized. You can be an organized maximalist.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can be disorganized minimalist. It just makes your life hard.
I think keeping it to makers, I would like Adam Savage, I feel like is the quintessential organized maximalist. Right? I mean, just looking at a shop, like everything has its place, but there's tons of it.
Yeah. And then disorganized maximalist is Jimmy Dresta.
Yeah.
Although you fell over an extra bandsaw.
Oh, no.
But my grandpa was this way.
I've heard
my grandpa's basement. It looks disorganized, but he knew where everything was.
Yeah.
And I'm sure DeResta is similar. Like, I think I've heard him talk about that. Like, he knows where you can find stuff.
I don't know if you guys have the same thing. I'm sure you would, but you know, you have things where you put them and then your wife moves them and you just can't find them because she puts them back where they go, but it's not where you put them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what happens every time I put
that's how I imagine Jimmy.
Yeah. I put something on the kitchen table and it somehow finds its a new home somewhere and But so I've always like tiny houses are the like minimalist thing that I see a lot of, and I've really always thought like there's two things about tiny houses. One, people have been living in trailers for a long time, and we call them trailer trash, and we make fun of them. And then someone builds a tiny house, and we say, "Wow, that's amazing! You're so eco-conscious." And I just think like that's a ridiculous thing. But then I go like the ideas that come up with maximizing space by utilizing every little bit, I think are great. Like I made a behind the door shelf, and all the negative comments I got about it on Reddit were, "You don't put shelves behind the door." I went, "So I just waste the space behind the door so that nothing goes there? Like, why
That's
would
where
I not
all my
use
clothes
it?"
are in my bedroom. When we moved into this apartment, I built shelves behind the door, and it's great because you close the door and then you get to the shelves.
They literally sell hooks that go on your door so you can.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the person's reason for not putting shelves behind doors? I feel like it's a great use of space.
Right. The person was, because it wasn't on the door, it was on the wall behind the door. So instead of being on the door, which is where everyone puts their stuff, I go, like, I don't know what the reasoning was. I went, "Oh, well, thank you for your," like, I just said something nice. I don't know. You know me. And try and say something nice.
The only negative I can think of, and it comes down to like how you do it and the people that open the door, is like if you slam the door into it and it falls off the wall. But if you mount it properly and people don't slam the door open, then you're fine.
It's funny. This almost brings it back around to minimalism in a way, because it's about just being conscious of your stuff. It's like if you know in your head that there's a shelf behind that door and you think before you just wildly open the door, then you're good. And that's kind of what I feel like is the romantic version of minimalism. It's knowing having a mental catalog of all your things so that you're just not acting like instinctually and without thought. And you know that like, that's where my clothes go. And I know they go there, and I'm going to think about that as I move from my space. And I'm not just buying a bunch of random stuff from Walmart and throwing it every which way and having no care for the things I have.
Right. I like that aspect of minimalism for sure. What I don't like is it's midnight and there's no stores open and I need a tool, right? That's where it's always gotten me is I've rented a tool, right? And then gone later and gone, I need that tool again, but it's midnight, right? Mm-hmm. And what am I going to do? I'm going to wait till tomorrow. But the big problem I have is, and why I couldn't live a minimalist life, is I don't operate on the same schedule as the rest of the world, right? I could live a minimalist life, but like my schedule doesn't work with the rest of the world, and I don't. When I need to get something done, like it's the only focus I have. I need to
Right.
get that thing done. And if I don't get it done then, it's
a little
never
off
getting done.
topic. A little off topic, but on topic of what you're just saying, it's like when I used to be a security guard, and I would work night shift. So I'd start at like 8 p.m., finish at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., 6 a.m. And like I'd be driving home, and I'd stop into Macca's to get something to eat on the way home or whatever. And like back then, they didn't do like the all day food. Like I don't know if you guys do, but like now, like they'll sell nuggets and chips like 24/7. Before they didn't, and I'm just like, I get that, like, you know, it's breakfast time, but I've been up all night. This is my dinner. Like, sell me food that's not breakfast. You know, like again, like with that whole like being on a different schedule to the world. I'm the same. I wish every store was 24/7. I hate not being able to go to the store at midnight. You know, I sign on for work at 2 a.m. I want to go to the shop and buy tools.
I don't know. But so that's why I'm more like, I'd rather have it and never use it than...
Yeah. And I'm sure, honestly, like if I had a bigger space, I'd love to fill it out with things that have a bit of leeway, you know, like not be so close to the end of my stock all the time, you know, which it's nice. I like having that. There's something that's really nice about that there's not a lot of extra fluff. And maybe that means when I do get a larger shop, it will always be like a little sparse, just because that's my personality.
So wanting to always have stock on hand, would that be minimalist or maximalist?
I mean, I don't know if always having stock on hand would make you not minimalist. I feel like that's a little like high-minded. I don't really.
Yeah. So whatever that is, like having to have stock, I'm that, but without the budget.
So then you're...
Because I love...
Yeah, you're minimalist because of the budget.
But here's something I can say for sure is I get so much satisfaction about getting stuff done with like the minimal amount of tools and cheap tools. Like I love being able to do that and not having to like up my tool set for no reason. I think about it like with fishing. Like if I can catch a good fish with a cheap rod, it's like, oh, it's so you just feel like you've ducked the marketing. I love that feeling.
My friend just bought a like $600 reel.
Dang. Is it Orvis?
It's electronic.
Oh my god.
It apparently adjusts like the drag as it's going out to keep it like going further somehow. And I just went...
At what point are you not fishing?
Right. That's what I didn't say that to him, but I don't know. I went, if you want to take me out fishing again,
I don't want to be that guy.
No, but honestly, probably when you're not enjoying, if that's what gives him enjoyment, then awesome.
Right. Totally. But I just go like, I'm more with you, Morley, as I go, I've been this way for all my stuff. I use what I have. Like you talk about your bike. You have a a beater bike, you called it.
Yeah.
Like a bike that you're willing to beat. I have the bike I have from high school. Like, that's the bike I have. I'm going to use it until it breaks. Or until I somehow like get a cheap one that's slightly better. But I'm never going to be the person that has... Like, I like to try and keep things as long as I can. And I keep the reusing stuff and remaking and repairing. I'm not a big one on throwing stuff out for no good reason.
Yeah, it's definitely me.
But at the same time, I kind of get... Like, I also want to have everything. So, I'm definitely not a minimalist, but I don't want to... Yeah.
And
I have two...
Sorry, go on, Adam.
Two Ryobi tools. I have two Ryobi tools down in the shop that blew up that don't work. But I just can't bring myself to throw them out. I have one that I never use because it doesn't work as well as I want it to. I think it just needs a new blade, but I won't throw it out. I bought a new one. I bought it's a circular saw. It doesn't work as well as I want. I think it just needs a new blade, but I bought a new circular saw that's corded because I told myself that it's the cordless. It doesn't work well, but I won't throw it out because one day I might want to use it.
So I think one of the things that makes it a difficult topic to kind of talk about in some ways is, oh dang, I just kind of lost my train of thought. Give me a second. It's a matter of like, there's a lot wrapped up in like the term minimalism, right? There's like an artistic aesthetic. There's like what we have in our head as what minimalism is. And there's us all being like makers, which maybe there's like a buy it for life mentality, but I don't know how much that necessarily implies minimalism. Like, I think those are almost two different things. I think there's definitely a relationship there, but it's kind of hard to know exactly what it is. And I don't know, just one of my problems with like minimalism, I guess, as I think of it is in my head, is that you could almost get to like too much attachment to the stuff, because you're like, I'm only going to have this hammer and this razor and this coffee pot and this really good cast iron skillet. And like, these are all the things. And I feel like in a way you can get so attached to the things that you almost become more materialistic than a so-called maximalist. And so I think there's a little bit of danger there. Like, it is nice to like have a bit of separation from your things. And that's always, I guess, in my outside view of minimalism as a philosophy, that's been kind of my problem with it, is like, it doesn't have to be, you know, and like, I don't know if you guys know that quote from Fight Club, but when Edward Norton is talking about like when his apartment burns down and he was like, that was going to be the coffee table. I got that coffee table and I was good. And that was it. It's like, I mean, if you look at his apartment, he's definitely not a minimalist. He buys every single thing in IKEA. But like, you can get so wrapped up in like, this is the perfect desk, this is the perfect X, that it gets, I don't know, it becomes more materialistic at a certain point.
Right. I totally get what you're saying. That's this deep, because I get it. It's now you're like stuck on like, I need like X brand axe, and that's the axe I'm going to have for the rest of my life. And I'm never going to get another one. And now you're like so broken that you're like, that's the only one. I can't do anything else.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why, like,
well, I'm a bit like that.
Sorry, go on, Adam.
I'm a bit like that with Ryobi. Like, every time I go to buy a new tool, I'm like, I want Ryobi. I don't know why. But I think that there's definitely a big difference between minimalism, maximalism, and materialism.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think we've been
like, you could be a minimalist, but you could also be materialistic.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we've been talking a lot about minimalism when we talk about our shop and our tools, but there's also in the design, right?
Yeah.
So I would say like a lot of your designs haven't been minimalistic. Like your carved leather belts. A minimalistic leather belt has no carvings on it, right? Like,
yeah.
Right, so there's that other aspect of it. So you live a minimalistic existence and make like some really like maximalized. I don't know. That's probably not maximalized, but you intricate designed stuff that wouldn't be classified in the minimalist style at all.
Yeah, I'm sure anyone who identifies as a minimalist and is all bought into that is probably screaming at their screen right now, because I know that there is so much to to this philosophy that we're just taking a gander at. we're definitely like just scraping the surface of it, but it's kind of like, I really do like it's form over function and that kind of thing, and I like function. Like if you look at my shop built like furniture, you can see I went complete function. There's zero form in it. And I think that's kind of a minimalist thing, but it's also, there's a bit to it like where you go, it still needs to have beauty. And if you look at my shop furniture, it doesn't have beauty. So it's not in a minimalist design. Yeah. So I don't know. There's that whole part of it that I'm dragging us in a different direction. But okay, well, maybe we should leave it there for this week. I think we might be able to evolve this into another topic for another episode. But I think that was it brought up some interesting things.
Maybe how about this? If people are interested in hearing more about that, then they should let us know. Contact us on any of the social media platforms.
Yeah.
And if you think that we spent too much time on this, let us know that too.
I only want to hear good things. You can tell Grant all the bad things. Before we jump into our Clampmendations for this week, just want to give a big shout out to everyone who supports us on Patreon, especially Leroy at Big Rock Timberworks, who is our F-Clamp level supporter. Anyone who supports us on Patreon gets access to the after show and the pre-show if we decide to do one. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff, so you should check it out. It's a lot of fun.
So on the makers on Zoom having cocktails, Leroy joined us, and we got to see his beautiful mustache.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So,
Oh yeah.
anyone knows Leroy, you should go comment on how beautiful his mustache is.
I saw it briefly when I popped in for like 5 minutes. It looks pretty magnificent. Also huge shout out to TF Turning for the theme music. As I said before, it's an absolute bop.
Just quickly before you do move on, like, as much as we appreciate the Patreons, if you can't support us or don't want to support us, even just leaving a like rating or sharing the podcast is a massive help and a good way to leave a review. Show us, let us know that you're liking the show.
And I haven't done any accents in a few weeks, so
so we need some reviews.
Yeah, I'm starting to go to lose my accent edge. All right, well, what is your Clampmendations this week, boys?
I'll go first. So I always try to do a Clampmendation that's relative to what I've done this week. So one of the biggest things I've been doing is like looking at mods for my car and all that sort of stuff. And there's a channel that I have followed since they started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, called Mighty Car Mods. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they're an Australian YouTube channel. They live actually not far from me, like 2 hours away in Sydney. And their older videos when they first started were all videos on modding cars, like how to install an alarm and how to window tint your car, how to install a stereo, all that sort of stuff. Their latest stuff is like they're more of like a TV show now. It's like they buy a car and then they start like working on making it like a nice track car or something like that. Their older videos I find are a lot better in the sense of like they're actually trying to teach something and not just like, here, look at what we're doing like we do. But yeah, so if you haven't heard of them and you're into cars, definitely give them a look. I mean, they don't need my shout out, but like that's pretty much all I've been watching all week is their old stuff, trying to find stuff I can put on my truck.
Nice. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, what about you, Grant?
Well, since we've been talking about minimalism, I'm going to recommend the Minimalist Woodworker. He's a Canadian woodworker named Vic Teslin, and he's got a book. So I'm going to, recommend you go buy his book. But you can also follow him on Instagram. He's also done a couple videos with Pat Lapp. So he's a good guy. He was working for Lee Valley, but he's just recently switched, and now he works for Busy Bee. But anyways, great little book. He was the whole reason why he called himself the minimalist woodworker is he was in the military. And when you're in the military, you get posted a lot. So he didn't want to have a giant shop full of tools to take with him everywhere. So he really tried to focus in on what is the essential tools for building. And that's what his book is subtitled. So go check that out.
That sounds awesome. And unlike Grant and Adam, my Clampmendation has nothing to do with anything. So my Clampmendation this week is a podcast episode from a podcast that I listen to from time to time. It's not a regular listen for me, but it's an episode of The Art of Manliness. And I was scrolling through my recent podcasts today and saw this one. It's their most recent episode, 637. And it's an interview with Maria Konnikova, who wrote a book called The Biggest Bluff, How I Learned to Pay Attention, Master Myself, and Win. And the episode is, the podcast episode is what poker can teach you about luck, skill, and mastering yourself. So ever since... pretty much since the beginning of the pandemic, Adam's just cracking up right now. We'll talk about that.
Because I just saw what Grant did, yeah.
I've been doing weekly Zoom poker nights with some friends from home. So I saw this episode because I was like, oh, that could be an interesting listen. But it ended up being like an all around fantastic, like inspirational interview. So after that long-winded intro, all this to say that it's a really interesting deep dive into like how life is just such a mix of luck and skill, and how for her learning poker at such a level to make it into the World Series of Poker for this book really showed that. I found it like especially poignant. Adam just popped out.
Yeah, we lost Adam again.
This is like the new thing to happen at the end of the episode. All right, I'll keep talking about this podcast.
Oh God, I hope it doesn't screw up the recording again.
I think we're okay.
No, it's all good.
I just feel like
okay, I can't hear
anyone
more.
who's making videos and putting stuff out online, we do have to deal with like this constant.
I don't know why I'm keep getting disconnected.
Like, you do your best at a video or some piece of content, you put it out there, and there's just going to be factors outside of your control that affect how well that thing's perform. And that's not just in content creation. It's in all things in life. Like there are things you can control and there are things you can't control. And being able to compartmentalize those things and focus on them is like, it's very powerful. Anyways, it's a fantastic interview. I haven't read the book, but this interview made me want to, which I know that's what it was supposed to do. So once again, it's The Art of Manliness, episode 637, What Poker Can Teach You About Luck, Skill, and Mastering Yourself. It's an interview with Maria Konnikova. All right. Well, if things sound a little different now, it's because we've been messing around with Zencastr for the past 10 minutes. So apologies for the technical difficulties, but with that, Grant, where can everybody find you?
Well, you guys can find me on thegrantalexander.com. I fixed the website so it works again. Yay.
Woohoo. Adam, newly audioed, where can people find you?
So you can find me at makeamaki.com, and that has links to all my socials.
And you can find me at Morley Kurt everywhere. Once again, thank you so much for watching. And if you like the show, tell a friend. We would really appreciate it.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.